Man, we moving timeshares like Silverleaf and shit. Man, we full of that AI over here, man. Kinda link West. The success in the late 80s of NWA's Straight Outta Compton and the rapid rise of Death Row Records had transformed rap almost overnight. East Coast groups like Def Jam's LL Cool J and Public Enemy were eclipsed by what Dr. Dre, Ice-T, and Snoop Dogg were doing on the West Coast. But Biggie played bad better than anybody who had come before him. He would never have Tupac Shakur's sex appeal, but Biggie's look was unlike anyone else's. A hulking fat boy whose favorite meal was waffles with ice cream and bacon. Biggie's wide, raunchy eyes and pudgy, hairless face gave him the look of an immense child, while his deadpan scowl and wandering left eye suggested just enough menace to make him interesting. Even as a drug dealer, he paid attention to his wardrobe, working the streets in the fashionable ensemble of Timberland boots, Calcanine jeans, and hockey jerseys, topped by a terry cloth headband. When he became Biggie Smalls, a name borrowed from a character in the Sidney Poitier Bill Cosby film Uptown Saturday Night, the combination of his dark skin and pale pink lips with the pinstriped suits and derby hats he wore suggested a fellow who'd been recruited out of a minstrel show into Al Capone's mob. "I may be a big, black, ugly dude," he once told an interview, "but I got style." Style for the gangsters rappers was the product of an outlandish cross-culture fertilization that combined ghetto gangbanger attitudes and Rastaman spirituality with the points of Hollywood, mafioso, and Biggie had a natural affinity for all the forms' origins. Puffy Combs told the 19-year-old he was poised to become a major star, but then one night in 1993, Biggie learned that his mentor was out of a job. Puffy immediately began organizing a plan to launch his own record label, one that would be built around Biggie Smalls. Puffy's greatest challenge was making Biggie believe it could still happen. Despondent over Puffy's ouster from Uptown Records, Biggie had a pregnant girlfriend, a best friend, Damian Butler, who was behind bars, and a mother who had just been diagnosed with breast cancer. Biggie was attempted to return to the streets with his vials of crack, but Puffy hustled to distract him with small jobs, performing on remixes with other rappers. Finally, after working on it in the studio for months, Puffy was ready to release Biggie's first solo album under a title that was even more sadly ironic than his posthumous Life After Death.
Ready to Die.
Ready to Die became Biggie's debut on the Bad Boy label, produced two singles that hit #1 on Billboard's charts, Big Papa and One More Chance. Both went double platinum, and One More Chance was named Billboard's Rap Single of the Year. Biggie was not quite 21, had become rich and famous overnight. Performing now as Notorious B.I.G. because another rapper out in California had called himself Biggie Smalls first. He was voted Billboard's Best Rap Artist in 1995. By then, though, the lethal idiocies of life as a gangster rapper already were beginning to threaten not only his success, but his very immense existence for a lot of it. Biggie had only himself to blame. Biggie and his entourage were arrested for the 1994 beating of a music promoter named Nathaniel Banks in Camden, New Jersey. A charge that put the rapper in jail for 4 days.
Oh God.
Then in March, in 1995, Biggie had a friend become annoyed by autograph seekers as they were leaving the Palladium near Manhattan, Union Square, and exchanged shouted threats with several men in the crowd. When the fans jumped into a taxi to get away, Biggie and his companion gave chase, caught the cab a block away, then proceeded to smash the vehicle's windows with baseball bats. After his arrest, Biggie was forced to plead guilty to criminal mischief.
Forced?
That's what it says. 3 months later, he was arrested in New Jersey for robbery and aggravated assault. Though the robbery count was dismissed, the charge of assault still hung over Biggie's head at the time of his death. In July of 1996, police in Teaneck, New Jersey, raided the courts of Glen Point townhouse that Biggie had purchased for $310,000
4.
8 months earlier, and confiscated
4.
an infrared rifle, a submachine gun, several automatic handguns, a revolver, a huge cache of hollow point bullets, and the rapper's marijuana stash. Assorted weapons and narcotics charges that resulted from the raid were pending at the time of his death. Biggie was arrested again in September of 1996, 2 days after Tupac Shakur's death, when he and several other rappers were caught smoking pot in Biggie's limousine while it was parked in Brooklyn. The same month, Biggie's left leg was fractured in 3 places when Lil Caesar lost control of Biggie's SUV on the New Jersey Turnpike. He spent 2 months at the Kessler Institute for Rehabilitation and was still in a wheelchair when the clinic released him. Just days before Thanksgiving. Biggie's deepest fears, however, arose out of the hatred Tupac Shakur had harbored against him ever since the shooting at Quad Studios. Biggie insisted he had nothing to do with that attempt on Tupac's life, but the release of his record, Who Shot Ya, while Shakur was in prison at Dannemora, was widely perceived as a taunt. Biggie at first seemed to view the East versus West feud as grand theater, a terrific publicity stunt that would help both sides sell records. When Snoop Dogg and the Dogg Pound began shooting their mocking New York videos in Times Square, Biggie went on the local radio to tell one station's listeners, "This is our city, and you know the beef we have with these motherfuckers." Biggie laughed off the fool in his neighborhood. He emptied a pistol into one of the Death Row Crew's trailers, but began to realize how serious the war between Bad Boy and the Los Angeles label had become in July of 1996 when he went to Atlanta on behalf of Puffy Combs to perform at a huge outdoor concert where Suge Knight was represented by Tupac Shakur during Biggie's set. Shakur's crew began to chant Tupac, Tupac, Tupac. Then on the way there to their hotel after the concert, Biggie and his bodyguards became convinced that they were being followed by a band filled with paid killers. Biggie's bodyguards had their Glocks locked and loaded. The vehicle they rode in and made a series of reckless lane changes before speeding onto an intense highway. The van stayed with them, though, and soon was joined by a pickup.
So much money out here on the West Coast, and these faggots don't even know it, man. These West Coast people ain't shit. You know what I'm saying, man? I mean, I'm having millions, man. You see what I'm driving, man, you know?
Well, let's get something to eat, man.
But we can't get nothing to eat right now. We got business to tend to.
Gaddafi, they slide your way.
Look, what's that smell, man? It smells like some ribs or something, man.
I farted, all right?
Hey, hold on, man. Hold on. Hold on, man.
Man,
What,
come on,
man?
we're trying to go get something to eat, man.
Y'all, all y'all
Come on,
gotta do, just give me,
Man, cute, man. What's your name,
give me a
man?
couple of, what you talking about?
Come on,
Give me a couple of cards right here.
You people out here
Man,
always
this
messing with somebody.
Job ass turkeys, ain't shit. That's all right, though. Ah.
Hey, man, I just ate all them donuts, man. I'm hungry, man. Let's go get a chicken or something, a pizza.
We cannot stop right now, Biggie. I'm sorry. We can't, okay?
Man, I'm hungry, though, Buff. Man, let's stop right here, man, at the burger joint, man. Let me get something to
We
eat.
done passed it, all right? It's gone.
I'm hungry as hell, Buff. Man, let's stop and get something, man.
I
Real
told
quick.
you we gon' stop and get something to eat. I'm trying to tell you about these West Coast motherfuckers. They ain't shit. That peanut head Tupac with his big old boat on top of it. We right here in they city, man, making all this money, and they ain't doing nothing about it.
I dropped a dime on you. Shiro says you're straight up. I just want you to know that I don't fuck around.
This is strictly business. Direct business.
You got the shit?
You got the money?
I got the money.
God. I just love the West Coast, baby. Ooh, baby. Yeah. This looks like a done deal.
Yeah, it is. Yo, Pig, what the fuck's going on here? You got cops at your front door. What the fuck's going on?
Don't worry. Carl, take care of that.
I'm doing business with you here and you got cops knocking on your front fucking door?
Don't worry, baby. I'm the pinhead.
If you're scared, go to church. Don't worry.
Hey, you lunch with us, baby?
You're right.
We running this.
They're rent-a-cops. Don't worry.
It's the pig, baby. We eat lunch together. It's
running
okay.
The three vehicles shadowed one another for nearly an hour before Biggie ordered his driver to stop and his bodyguards prepared for a shootout. Only then did the van and truck speed away after Tupac released his I Fucked Your Bitch record. Biggie shot back with Dumb Rappers Need Teaching, Lesson A, Don't Fuck with the B.I.G. That's that. And he seemed almost to be boasting when he spoke about the feud with Tupac for the documentary Rhyme or Reason. One man against one man made a whole West Coast hate a whole East Coast, and vice versa. Biggie's attitude became much more sober after Tupac's death, however. I had nothing to do with any of that Tupac shit, he told Spin Magazine. That's a complete and total misconception. I definitely don't wish death on anyone. I'm sorry he's gone. That dude was nice on the mic. Biggie even admitted how afraid for his life he had become. I think about it every day, he told MTV. Every day it's real. That's how real it is. I think somebody be trying to kill me. I be waking up paranoid. I be really scared. Biggie wrestled publicly with his fear of life after death. The album opened with the thump of a beating heart over that Biggie began talking on the phone to Puffy Combs, telling his producer that he had been thinking about suicide. Gunshots cut the conversation short and Biggie fell to the floor. Then Puffy was at Biggie's bedside in the hospital telling him they were an unstoppable pair, destined to rule the world, and that they had a lot of living left to do. His voice was gradually drowned out by the flatline tone of Biggie's heart monitor. On Miss You, a rap dedicated to a friend who had been shot dead on the streets of Brooklyn, Biggie admitted that he cried for 3 days after, even though the deceased was a thug. Life After Death ended with a song that featured Faith Evans. You're Nobody Till Somebody Kills You was his favorite cut on the album. Biggie told Billboard because it brings to mind the expression, you'll miss me when I'm gone. When Biggie arrived in Los Angeles during early February of 1997, though he tried once again to sound unflinching, if he had to pick his choice for a home, would it be the East Coast? Because that was where he grew up. Biggie rapped in a song for his new album called Going Back to Cali. But that didn't mean a nigga couldn't rest in the West. California had the weed, the women, and the weather, Biggie told The Source. He confided to an interviewer from Vibe that he was going to buy a house in LA and insisted, I get love out here. And if they don't love me, they are going to learn to love me. If I'm scared, I'll get a dog. Biggie sounded more worried about flying to London than whatever risk he faced in LA. When he phoned his mother from his suite at the Westwood Marquise on the afternoon of March 8th, Biggie had been scheduled to leave that morning for a promotional tour in Europe. But Puffy canceled the trip just as well, Biggie said, since he didn't feel that enough bodyguards had been hired for the week he was to spend in London. He had off-duty cops guarding him in LA. He had off-duty cops guarding him in LA. Biggie told his mother and felt safe with them around. Her son told her he was going to a party that night. Voletta Wallace recalled, but only because Puffy wanted him there. The night before, Biggie had told a Vibe reporter that he was no longer ready to die. I think there are a lot more lessons that I need to learn. There are a lot more things I need to experience, a lot more places I need to go before I can finally say, okay, I have my days. When he lumbered out of his hotel suite that night, though Biggie was that diapered baby wearing work boots and a baseball cap, instead the rapper wore a golden Jesus hanging on his cross.
Which officers are you saying were implicated in the murder of Biggie Smalls?
So it's 5 officers that was involved in it.
Okay, all right. What up? You want to set it off?
People started talking more freely since Suge's incarceration about the shadow behind Biggie Smalls and Tupac Shakur's murders.
They don't have to be on camera if they don't want to be on camera. We just record their voice.
All right.
People were now opening up to things I couldn't get answered before.
I would put money on LAPD's involvement.
Many of the people have kept a secret for 24 years.
I don't know if he did this, but he was there.
It brings me to tears, thinking what could have been.
Wasn't no scattered bullet holes. That was a pro.
There were attempts at the highest level to make things disappear.
Who could do this and get away with it?
You know we do.
My game run deep, Tupacalypse don't sleep.
There's a lot of people lost their lives.
Come on now. Lives were lost as a result of what?
Out here, you don't know who you're messing with.
I keep a Glock in my car. I gotta be the star.
The streets are controlled by the biggest gang that we have, the police.
Suge Knight was behind the hit.
Police working in the organization.
They were everywhere.
Shocking allegations.
They did what Suge told them to do.
He gets in his face and says, keep your mouth shut. You were told not to talk about that.
White, a fall for Knight since the height of his career.
I was there that night Biggie got killed.
So unreal.
Karma's a mother, and he's paying for it.